Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Bath, where a bomb scare at a mental health facility caused a massive police response. Matt Kleindienst has the latest on that ongoing investigation.
Good evening. All hands were on deck this morning when a suspicious device was found outside of the mental health facility. Around 8 this morning, a health worker was arriving at the Steuben County Mental Health Facility when a mysterious device was discovered at the back entrance.
She noticed what looked to be, what suspected to be an explosive device.
She crossed the street and notified police, sparking the investigation. State police and the county sheriff's office were quickly dispatched, even bringing a bomb-sniffing dog to the scene. Although it appeared to look real, police determined the bomb was a fake.
It was fashioned in a way that would look, it did have the cording for an explosive device.
Police are reviewing camera footage to try and identify the suspect. Chad Mullen believes the suspect was trying to make a statement.
This person put a fake explosive device out there to possibly put a message to the workers here. Officer
Mullen went on to say that he believes today's incident is isolated and that police don't have any evidence suggesting that the suspect was trying to harm healthcare workers. Reporting from Bath, Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC.
President-elect Joe Biden says the coronavirus pandemic is dominating his transition to the White House, and his approach to the pandemic will be much different from the Trump administration's. John Lawrence has more.
After President-elect Joe Biden takes office, he will call on Americans to help slow the spread of COVID-19.
I'm going to ask the public for 100 days to mask. Just 100 days to mask. Not forever, 100 days. And I think we'll see a significant reduction.
Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris say they'll get a COVID-19 vaccination once one is approved and deemed safe. And they want frontline workers, like doctors and nurses, to get vaccines as well.
The president-elect and I talk about this all the time, that the people who need it most are going to be a priority.
On Thursday, more than 100,000 people in the U.S. were listed as hospitalized with the virus, according to the COVID Tracking Project. California, in the middle of a record surge of cases and hospitalizations, is pulling an emergency brake with regional stay-at-home orders.
The bottom line is, if we don't act now, our hospital system will be overwhelmed. If we don't act now, we'll continue to see a death rate climb.
Health officials repeated calls for Americans to curb travel and follow safety guidelines in the coming months.
Pandemic fatigue is real, and we all cannot wait until this is over. And the end is not that far away, but we have to get through this winter, because what lies ahead for the next few months is actually our worst case scenario.
A new model paints a staggering picture of U.S. COVID deaths in the coming months. An update from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation this morning projects more than 500,000 COVID deaths by April. IHME's data suggests daily deaths will peak in the range of 3,000 in mid-January before gradually falling. This model covers primarily the period before vaccines are expected to be widely available to the public. But even with a rapid vaccine rollout, it only predicts a reduction in the number of deaths by about 11,000. The model argues that if everyone wore masks, more than 66,000 American lives could be saved. A new breathalyzer from a company in Texas might be able to detect COVID-19 in less than a minute. Grady Trimble has more.
For most people getting tested for COVID, an uncomfortable swab test has been the method so far. Not to mention the long wait times. But they could soon be a thing of the past, thanks to a state-of-the-art device called Worlds Protect. It's a collaboration with the Dallas-based company Worlds Inc., Texas A&M University, and the U.S. Air Force. It works when someone uses a disposable straw to blow into the machine. It tests for specific compounds the body generates when fighting COVID-19. Results will be sent to their phone in seconds.
You blow at it, for literally like 5 seconds, blow at the system, and in less than a minute, you're going to get a result, right? And so the goal is to put that on a cell phone.
For now, the prototype isn't being used to diagnose someone with COVID, but it's more of a screening system to let you know if you should get tested. It's been deployed to hospitals and Air Force bases, and so far, the company that makes the device says it's accurate, comparable to a PCR swab test, the gold standard for diagnosing COVID-19.
The goal is to be diagnostic and longer, right? Not only for COVID, but other diseases as well.
The company also says it's working to get emergency approval from the FDA within the next few months.
While the average American is being advised not to go home for the holidays, the White House is sticking with some plans to celebrate with big bashes. As Tom Foreman reports, they say there will be some safety measures in place due to the pandemic.
We love you. Amid the cheers, the unmasked smiles, and the grinning VIPs, or at least Kid Rock, you would think there is no pandemic on Pennsylvania Avenue, according to reports from DailyMail.com.
It's been an amazing 4 years. We're trying to do another 4 years, otherwise I'll see you in 4 years.
Indeed, the White House has more than a dozen holiday parties on tap, and hundreds of invitations are flowing out to events at the State Department, despite repeated COVID outbreaks among the staff. Sound crazy as the administration's own health team is warning Americans we're in a very dangerous place? Not to Team Trump.
We will engage in the celebration of Christmas, and there will be a Hanukkah celebration as well.
Like a sweater from your grandma, it's really no surprise. White House gatherings have already triggered 3 coronavirus outbreaks, leaving several big Republicans, plus the First Lady and President, testing positive.
I was in not great shape, and we have a medicine that healed me, that fixed me. It's a great medicine.
Yet Trump returned from the hospital to dramatically remove his mask, and it has rarely shown up since. Even today, as he stood right up against legendary football coach Lou Holtz to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I put a mask on, when I think I need it.
The First Lady's chief of staff told CNN, yeah, we're implementing safety measures, temperature checks, smaller guest list, masks will be required and available, social distancing encouraged, and hand sanitizer stations. But photos posted by attendees show little sign of all that and look a whole lot like pictures of the crowded, jovial, stylish parties in non-pandemic times. And the comments around those photos seem to reflect no concern whatsoever, frequently describing these White House evenings as magical and perfect and even hot, although perhaps they mean that in a viral sense.
A suspect is dead after a shootout in which 2 U.S. Marshals and a New York City police detective were injured in the Bronx. They were executing a warrant for 35-year-old Andre Sterling at the time of the shooting. Sterling was wanted for allegedly shooting a Massachusetts state police trooper in the hand last month. The 2 marshals were rushed to a local hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. The NYPD detective injured his leg. The suspect was shot at the scene and died. A second suspect was taken to the hospital for treatment. No word on that person's condition. The latest employment report shows mixed results. While the unemployment rates did fall from 6.9% to 6.7%, the number of new jobs added was lower than expected. In its latest report, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says the country added just 245,000 jobs in November, far fewer than the 460,000 expected. Ray Bogan has the latest on where talks stand as lawmakers debate another round of stimulus relief.
Under mounting pressure to pass another coronavirus relief bill, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi wrapped up the work week weighing in on where negotiations stand just 3 weeks before Christmas.
It's not text yet, it's a framework. There is momentum.
While Pelosi says talks will continue, momentum is building around the $908 billion proposal put forth by a bipartisan group of lawmakers. It includes $300 in weekly unemployment aid, plus more funds for small businesses and vaccine distributions.
I don't want to leave coal in everybody's pocket across the country at Christmas time.
While the group has pledged not to leave for Christmas break until a deal is done, both House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell are eyeing an earlier December 11th deadline. That's when Congress needs to pass another spending bill to avoid a government shutdown. But it could also be a chance to attach a relief bill and get the votes needed to pass both.
That is the vehicle leaving the station.
Agree where we agree, bank that progress, make law, take a whole lot of pressure off struggling people, and then keep debating the areas where we don't agree.
Meantime, House lawmakers are debating another topic, federally legalizing marijuana. Republicans are criticizing Democrats for shifting the focus.
They're picking weed over the workers.
If lawmakers don't pass another stimulus bill, the day after Christmas, another 14 million people are expected to lose their added unemployment benefits.
The democratically controlled U.S. House approved a bill today that would end the federal ban on marijuana. That bill passed largely on party lines. It's the first time a chamber of Congress has voted on the issue. The bill would remove pot from the federal list of controlled substances, effectively decriminalizing the drug across the U.S. It also includes creating a process to remove prior pot convictions. If passed by both chambers of Congress, individual states would still have to legalize marijuana. The Senate, which is controlled by Republicans, is not likely to take it up in the last 2 weeks of the current congressional session. The Corning Children's Center is canceling their Blue Moon Ball fundraiser in January. The Blue Moon Ball usually raises about 65% of the center's development budget, but is now being canceled due to COVID restrictions. You can continue to help the Children's Center despite the fundraiser being canceled. Former Blue Moon Ball attendees can donate the normal ticket price, and the center will showcase their names on the wall throughout 2021. Additional opportunities to offer support can also be found on the center's website. Still ahead tonight, 2 U.S. pharmacy chains are preparing to give out the first COVID-19 vaccinations as soon as they get the green light from the FDA. We'll have more on how the vaccine distribution will work coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. As the low pressure system that's moving in from the south starts to move toward the Atlantic, it is going to send north winds into our area. And so as a result, colder air will return for the weekend. And so any precipitation that we have out there will be switching over to snow. And there could be a rain mix still, especially in the afternoon as temperatures warm up into the 40s. So it's going to be a very, very wet snow. But as far as snowfall potential, anywhere between 1 inch to 3 inches could be possible in some of our hometowns from now through about Sunday morning. So as far as those temperatures are concerned, it looks like we're going to stay pretty cold, starting off around 35 degrees at around 5 o'clock, and then only warming up to the upper 30s by the afternoon with snow showers off and on during the day. We drop back down into the 30s by the early evening hours. Very dry air in place, and it's going to be quite a dreary day. It may be a little bit breezy at times once that low pressure system gets a little bit closer to our area. So if you're outside and with that breeze, it's going to make those temperatures feel more like the 20s. And it looks like this cold spell will last through early next week as a trough just sinks southward into the southeastern corner of the U.S. So that's going to drain all of that Arctic air right over our area. And so as a result, temperatures will be a good 10 degrees below what normal for Monday into your Tuesday. So let's take a look at our future radar and take a look at the timing of all this precipitation. So for tonight, there still could be a few isolated showers across our area, and some of that will fall as a rain-snow mix and possibly even some snow showers out there as well. And then tomorrow morning at around 7 o'clock, it looks like a few isolated snow showers will be moving into our area, and it's going to be off and on throughout the day. By 1 o'clock, as those temperatures warm up just a little bit, some of that snow could be melting, so we're talking about slushy snow as well. And this, again, will be ongoing through about 6 o'clock in the evening. I think this really starts to taper off by Sunday. There still could be a few flurries that will remain, but overall, I think the activity will end by the end of the weekend. It's going to be cold tonight. Temperatures dropping down to around 32 degrees in Elmira, right at freezing there. 34 degrees in Elmira, Corning around 32 degrees, and 32 degrees in Perkinsville. In Hornell, around 30. So it's going to be below freezing. We do have the possibility of a few isolated snow showers, and then tomorrow most of the precipitation will be falling as snow, but as those temperatures do warm up close to around 40 degrees, we are expecting the possibility of rain mixing in or even some slushy snow as well. Highs in Watkins Glen around 40 degrees. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Cloudy conditions for your Sunday, cold air through early next week, but warming up into the 40s for the second half of the week.
2 U.S. pharmacy chains are prepared to give out COVID vaccines as soon as there's a green light from the FDA. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Healthcare workers and long-term care facility residents are set to get the first COVID vaccinations in the U.S.
Our plan is to be ready to go as early as December 15th, waiting for the state approvals.
In October, the Trump administration announced agreements with CVS and Walgreens to vaccinate residents of long-term care facilities nationwide. The pharmacy chains already have a list of those organizations, says Dr. Troy Brennan, Chief Medical Officer for CVS Health.
We've basically got 31,000 locations where we're going to have to be doing the vaccination, and that's about 2 million patients. So we know who it is, where they are, and how many patients there are.
CVS plans to send teams to each of the facilities 3 times in the coming months. A team will consist of 2 vaccinators and 1 support staffer on average. Brennan says they're already working out details for vaccine distribution within each state and looking ahead.
Once we get into sort of general distribution, I suspect that not only ourselves and Walgreens, but there's going to be a number of other pharmacy chains and grocers who will be involved in it. And I think that using all those various outlets, we're going to have very good penetration across the United States. You'll get an appointment for both your first vaccination, your second vaccination, and then we will keep after you to make sure you come back for that second vaccination.
A school in South Carolina is adapting to face-to-face learning through glass. Andrew James has a look at how plexiglass is being used in the classroom.
Our whole world's changed, though. It's just another piece of the new normal.
A piece of glass providing some with a peace of mind.
The plexiglass is just the next piece to get them back here.
Aner Elementary will be the first school in Horry County to take the test with the school district's multi-million-dollar investment, hoping the reward is 5 days of in-person learning.
It hasn't bothered my teaching at all or anything in the classroom.
If anything, school officials say many of the kids are really finding the silver lining.
Actually, some of our little ones have expressed the fact that they like having that personal space. Some of them even call it their own office.
An office that still needs a teacher's touch.
Once the plexiglass came in, for me, I felt like it just wasn't cohesive for my students. It didn't lend enough walking space for me or them. So after school, we put them in quads. They were easily moved, and it was fine.
It's not the classroom we may remember, but it's the classroom teachers like Ashley Poston say she will work with to see all of her students face to face once again.
They feel more safe because they get to be back in their little groups with their friends and not have to be as spread out. So it is a safer way for them to be even more together, if you ask me.
A 5-year-old from California is waiting for his Make-A-Wish dream to come true. He wants to be a mailman. But in the meantime, he has a very important job to do, getting letters to Santa. Heather Jansen has the story.
Oh, ho, the mistletoe.
No holiday season is complete without a Christmas carol or 2. Just ask Mateo, who's in tune with the Christmas spirit.
And holly jolly Christmas.
This Stockton 5-year-old doesn't miss a beat.
Never.
Maybe it's why Santa personally picked him to help out for the holidays this year. And Mateo is excited for his mission.
To get randos to Santa.
His job for the day,
Dear Santa,
make sure holiday wishes
can you read this?
like his make it to the big man in red. Please? His letter to Santa asks for a new toy. But part of his gift is step 1 of fulfilling his dreams to become like one of his personal heroes, the mailman.
I just hold it to the window and watch him, and he just he's nice to us.
Mateo is one of many Make-A-Wish kids whose wishes can't be granted during the pandemic. Over the last 4 years, Mateo has battled leukemia, his dream of being a mailman put on pause. But while he's patiently waiting, his mom hopes days like this one are a boost to his spirits.
I think something like this is what he really needed.
Things like a visit from a family friend, what she wished for,
Happiness and an end to COVID,
is relatable. Each gift, each wave, and each song, just a few of Mateo's favorite things.
And then I don't feel so bad.
Move over, Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman. 2020 brings new superheroes, and instead of capes, they wear scrubs. Marvel Comics has teamed up with Allegheny Health Network in Pennsylvania to create a new comic book that celebrates real-life healthcare heroes. It's called The True Nurse Stories Comic Book. It focuses on the stories of actual nurses who work near Pittsburgh and everything they've done to keep us safe during the pandemic. The project was unveiled Thursday, and it was a complete surprise to all the nurses. Walmart is launching a holiday light show across the U.S. The free and contactless experience will use nearly 1,000 Intel drones to create three-dimensional shapes in the sky like snowflakes, reindeer, and presents. A soundtrack of classic and modern holiday favorites will accompany the visual presentation. There will be 8 performances held. Walmart is broadcasting Saturday's show live on its Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok channels. The pandemic has us adapting to life in so many new ways, and it appears Christmas music is no exception. Eric Barajas explains how one singer is spreading holiday cheer.
Last year, a song that Johnny Gondison of Cyprus wrote in 1965 finally debuted on the air 54 years later on KRBE's Rula and Ryan show. It also debuted right here on ABC 13. But this year's pandemic began to weigh on his mind, so he penned a new version to let kids know that COVID is not stopping Christmas.
I think the kids are getting worried that Christmas was not going to be like last year, and maybe Santa Claus wasn't going to be coming this year. So I got to thinking about that, and I put some words together.
And the COVID Christmas song was born.
COVID-19 can't stop me from bringing toys for girls and boys to find on Christmas morning.
The 2020 version reminds kids that, of course, you need to be good, and this year, that also means washing hands, wearing a mask, and social distancing.
Wear your mask and wash your hands. In my heart, I knew that it was a good song. It had good words, and the tune was a catchy tune that children would like. Keep social distance when you can. Oh, ho, ho, COVID-19 can't stop me from bringing toys.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. This might be the best way to liven up a Christmas tree. An Australian woman came home to find a koala hanging on her tree like an ornament. She called the rescue organization 1,300 Koalas to help her remove the misplaced marsupial. When they answered the call, they originally thought it was a prank, but the organization arrived to remove the female koala from the Christmas tree. She is now climbing a tree outside the house she broke into. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night and a safe weekend.